Welcome in. This is the 11 Warriors Web Report. Dan is here. Another captain, number 6.
In the flesh.
Mr. In the flesh, baby. You remember that from Rocky? In the flesh, baby. All right, let's talk about Nebraska. Look, this is one of those games where, I've said this many times, Nebraska's the George Washington on the Mount Rushmore of programs that will never be the same. They're never going to get it back. It's too hard. I would probably hire a triple option coach there and try to go old school and maybe go that way. It's sad. They're 3-3. They're just not what they are. And for somebody who remembers how great Nebraska was, and many of you probably do too, the 95 Nebraska team is the best college football team I've ever seen. They are not walking through the door. Tommy Frazier's not walking through the door this week, and this is a different squad, Ev. So as you look at this Buckeye team, let's start offensively for Ohio State. What will you have your eye on in terms of they've built some good momentum the last couple of weeks? What do you look for?
Honestly, I'm looking for ball control. You know, I really want to see our offense start on the ground and finish on the ground. Let that lead everything else, because the ground game is going to lead to those deep balls, those deep shots, which are going to lead to be able to let Paris Campbell get on the edge, because those ends are crashing so hard because, you know, 25 and 2 have been going at him like crazy. So I really want to see it start on the ground game and then just be able to control the game, because our defense is going to take care of the ball. We're going to get turnovers. As long as we pressure that quarterback, he's going to throw a couple to us. And to be able to just take over that game from the ground, I really think that it'll prove well to the national viewing of our team and really in our own development.
Yeah, I mean, I think just got to continue to keep it sharp. I mean, I feel like just every week we're seeing this offense start to piece things together, start to make progress. We're seeing the play calling from Kevin Wilson and Ryan Day get more creative. We're seeing JT take more confidence in starting to make some of those downfield throws. I mean, we saw a couple that I thought were really impressive, the quote-unquote NFL kind of throws that we don't usually see from JT Barrett on Saturday. So I think they're moving in that direction. Guys like Benjamin Victor, Austin Mack are starting to step up at the receiver position, and then running backs, you got J.K. Dobbins, Mike Weber, both those guys healthy. Keep that train rolling. You know, you really want to have a strong week this week. Get yourself with some momentum going into the bye week and then Penn State.
I think you hit on a really good point, though, with Kevin Wilson. I mean, being able to, you know, no different than any players, you know, it takes a couple games to get into it, and especially with the change, especially coming into a big-time university. So I think that's the big thing, is that he's got some games under his belt and he knows how to call our offense.
One of the things I'm so tired of hearing is that this notion that you can't learn anything from Ohio State until they play Penn State. Okay, fine. But if you watch college football week in and week out, you'd be blind not to see where the offense is heading. Oh, yeah. That doesn't mean that when they play Penn State, it's going to be up and down the field, because Penn State's a better team. But there is a strategy to what they're doing offensively that was not there early in the season. And if you look at what's happened over the every game's been a little step up. You know, UNLV was rock bottom, then a little step up to Rutgers, little step up to Maryland, little step up to Nebraska. It's all coming together, and it's a 24-point line, but I feel pretty confident about Ohio State against that line just because of what the offense is doing. If you have an offense that has Dobbins and Weber and a steady diet of both, and JT accurate and confidence in receivers, I mean, he's now, you know, when he came in as a freshman, he trusted you guys because you're seniors. Exactly. And he didn't have a choice. Exactly. I'm not sure he trusted these guys early in the season, but he's gaining trust in Paris Campbell. He's gaining trust in Johnny Dixon, Ben Victor.
100%.
It's a different offense, guys. If you can't see it, I can't help you.
No, I mean, totally. And like I said about Kevin Wilson, it takes him to get comfortable, and especially some of the young guys. You know, Ben Victor had to see a couple balls in the red zone. He had to get a couple routes because, you know, he didn't probably catch his first one down the red zone. You know, things change, routes change, releases change, ball point, where you got to go attack it is different. Yeah. So getting, you know, and being able to dodge the bullets and live fire and to be able to go out there and perform when the pressure is on is what really is going to ultimately lead us to success in the long run.
For the first time since your senior year, I see a JT Barrett the last couple of weeks that is just playing. The last year, early part of this year, and that's because he knew where you guys were going to be, right? He knew where every one of you guys were going to be, and he just was playing. He was thinking at the early part of this season, the Oklahoma game, even the opener. He's not doing that anymore. He's just letting it fly. Will he ever be somebody who throws it 40 yards down the field deep? No, that's not who he is. He doesn't need to be that either. Let's switch defensively, Dan. This seems like lambs to slaughter. I don't know how. Nebraska's quarterback likes to turn it over, and Ohio State's D-line, I just don't know how they're going to block it.
Yeah, it's not a good recipe when you have an interception-prone quarterback going against Nick Bosa and Sam Hubbard and Tyquan Lewis and Jalen Holmes, because they're going to bring a lot of pressure. And Nebraska's offensive line, probably a little better than the last few offensive lines they've faced, but still not great. I think that defensive line's going to keep it rolling. They might get Draymond Jones back, which would be huge, because they've looked great the last 2 weeks without Draymond Jones, and Draymond Jones is one of the most disruptive defensive tackles in the country. So you've got that working. You've got Jerome Baker, Dante Booker the past couple weeks who have really started to emerge as big play threats. After I said on this show, I said on this show, they got to step
2 weeks in a row.
up, and they heard me, and they did it. So props to them.
They're
and
listening.
You know, the secondary, I mean, I think this is just another chance for that secondary to continue to grow. I mean, Nebraska, they got a couple guys, Stanley Morgan Jr. They actually got Chris Spielman's nephew is starting to emerge as a guy for them, a slot back, returner kind of guy. So they've got some playmakers that can challenge Ohio State. I think this is another chance. Jeffrey Okuda's a guy with Damon Arnett suspended for the first half of this game. He's going to get some chance to play, maybe continue to grow. Continue to see guys like Kendall Sheffield grow, and I think this is just another opportunity. Just like we talked about with the offense. I mean, you could say this isn't the same kind of competition they're going to face against Penn State, but it's another opportunity for this defense to continue to grow, build confidence, build momentum going into that bye week, going into what probably will be their toughest test of a regular season against Penn State.
You know, Evan mentioned on the television show that we do on Spectrum Sports, you mentioned Sam Hubbard. And that defensive line, and he's the leader of that group and wears the same number as you, and you just think about, I just don't know how Nebraska handles it. I mean, I just don't know what they do to it.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, you watch the film and you just see, their guys are beating the other guys. And speaking on, our guys beating theirs. And, you can game plan against a couple people and you can figure out ways to chip against a couple guys, but when all four of them are dynamic at rushing the passer and stuffing the run, allows the linebackers, like we were talking about, to have great games. The linebackers are having great games because the defensive line is having great games. It allows the secondary to mature and it allows the secondary to get the experience that they need and to play well because the linebackers are flowing and because the defensive line is applying that pressure. Everything is connected, whether that's all three levels of the defense or it's in the running or rushing and passing game on the offensive side of the ball.
The embarrassment of riches to have Sam Hubbard and have Nick Bosa and Jalen Holmes and Tyquan Lewis and then have Chase Young come in and play mop-up duty. It's ridiculous. I think it'll be a problem. Typically, this is the part of the program where I tease Dan about not watching some show. He hadn't watched The Sopranos. He hasn't watched The Wire. We go to Nebraska. I don't have any shows for Nebraska, but I'm curious if you bought your Berkshire Hathaway stock.
Oh, yeah.
I have not. Probably a good idea.
Did you read their annual report at least?
I have not.
Well,
You got to. They now stream it on you. You stream it on Yahoo, Dan.
They make it easy for you.
They make it easy for you. Listen to Uncle Warren. He bought Jimmy Haslam's trucking company. I mean, he did that last week. He always buys a couple of elephants.
I probably should be listening. I probably should be listening.
You can get in on those Berkshire. You can get in on those Berkshire B stocks. You can get in on those. All right, good stuff as always, gentlemen. We'll see you guys next week on the 11 Warriors Web Report.